Hello everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Inspire Me. I am with a good friend of mine today. She is Shehara Fernando, the founder of Lumprise by Shay. So today we are going to find out what her story is and few things that's very interesting and inspiring about her journey. Without further ado, let's get started. As the first question, Shehara, let's discuss how you started Lumprise by Shay, the setup, how you got your fundings, infrastructure sorted. Let's talk about that.
So this started in May 2020, where this was pretty much like a Corona project, I would say, because we were locked down and then we were working from home, and then I'm somebody who is very passionate about cooking since few years. And I thought, so this all started with the Mother's Day, where I cooked my mother and my husband's mother a meal of Lumprise, where I thought it's something new that they have not pretty much tried except from very new known places. So I wanted to give it a try and see how I can delight my mothers. And so it was when I cooked for them, and there were a few left out, obviously, because I didn't know my measurements. And so we gave it around to people around our house, and that's when they all came back that evening and said that why don't you do it as a business. It was so nice, and it was something very nice that we enjoyed. Actually, that is where the business idea came across. And so yeah, that could be the start and born of Lumprise by Shay. So the name itself says my name and what I'm offering. So I want to keep it very short and simple, where everybody knows me as Shay. So I want to make use of that name, and then I'm going to specialize in Lumprise. So I made the name as Lumprise by Shay. So that is how it all started.
She's doing her corporate job as well in technology. She nicely manages her job along with Lumprise by Shay. So tell me, Shehara, how come you wanted to, of course, when you say passion project, it's the answer is clear, it's understood why you started it. But how easy or difficult is it to manage these two tasks simultaneously? It's not easy, I know, it's very difficult. But there are so many girls like you out there who are juggling these two things at once. Let's give your advice to them as to how they can manage their priorities.
So I think it's how you manage your time, and also you need support. Like, you wouldn't be able to do it by yourself, because I think if somebody says everything was done by themselves, that's perfect, but not in my case. Because in my case, since I'm also handling a corporate job, like you said, so it's not easy to manage. It's completely two different things, because I have my long nights at work to long nights with the cooking. So it's all about how you manage your timings and how you allocate your timing. Because since it's Lumprise, it's a very, very time consuming, and it's a very labor intensive work, where you need about 6 to 10 hours of cooking. So it's a lot of prep work, a lot of cooking, and including from taking the banana leaves to thawing them to, that's a lot of work. So which cannot be done in a day. So how I do is I task them. So for every day, like, I allocate a time and I make sure that I get those things done. And so yeah, if you are somebody who needs to start something, I think time management is very, very important, and it's very critical. So allocate your timings. It could be, it's not going to be bed of roses where you think that you wake up and then you get everything done. No, that has a lot of planning, a lot of logistical issues that you need to sort out. You need to get your ingredients sorted to meanwhile managing your work chaos. So yeah, plan ahead and work according to the plan. I'm sure you will be able to succeed.
Let's talk about your support system also. I think it's very important
Yes.
to talk who's supporting you, how you should lobby support basically.
Yeah.
And maintain that support system as well, not only with your friends, family, but your other stakeholders as well.
So it's mainly my mother and my husband who has been supporting me throughout, from the time this idea came up to where it is now over the months. and how we have expanded the menu from lump rice to where it is now. Because I'm somebody, since I was very small itself, I'm somebody who is very, very attached to Sri Lankan cuisine. I love Sri Lankan food. I love how gifted we as Sri Lankans to our spices. And I think it is from where I came from, where my mother is a completely perfect cook, I would say, because she's a self-taught. She never followed any recipes. She doesn't have quantities, and I think it has now been inherited and passed to me, where I don't have a recipe written down, or quantity measurements are not in my thing. So it's always how I use my hands, and it's what it is.
It's instinct, is it?
Yes. So and also I'm somebody who loves to make experiments with our Sri Lankan spices and make things a little different way. So this is apart from the lump rice business. So me as a person is somebody who loves to do experiments. So so coming back to the support system, it's always my mother who's been my inspiration and my role model, and then also who is supporting me in, so when it comes to my work times and there's some cooking, so it's my mother who jumps into the boat and does the cooking for me. And then of course my husband, who is pretty much the I would say like the delivery person sometimes, to person who gets me the ingredients going anywhere and everywhere. And so that if not to those two people, I wouldn't be here. And also I need to remember my vendors, whom so I'm trying to contribute at least the least way I can. So all my vendors are in my vicinity, where they do their homegrowns, or like somebody who does like small business scales, not very big vendors. So including the spices I get from a home-based lady who is basically pretty much like living off these small monies that we contribute. So I am somebody who would love to contribute into these small people in however much I can by buying off from them. So so yeah, that is also, so I need to remember and remind my vendors also, who is being brilliant in giving me the best of ingredients to give you the best of lump rice or best of food that I put across to you, is purely because of them. And also my my riders, my delivery partner, who is doing a fantastic job in making sure that all my food is delivered on time, and gives me a heads up every time they do a delivery. They let me know that this particular delivery is done. So I also have a track of how things are being processed. So I think it's apart from my mother and my husband, I need to give credit to my delivery guys and my vendors also. It's very important because it's all a group effort than just one or two people. It's a teamwork.
Exactly. So yes, I have ordered her lump rice and pittu a couple of times, more than a couple of times.
And the platters.
Yes, and the Sri Lankan Bai platter. So it's just next level. I don't want to comment about the taste or anything. I have, you can go into her Instagram, you can go into all the stories that her clients have posted about her food. It's just next level. It's so joyful and intense in flavor. While you are making money from your venture, how do you create a positive social impact as well? So would you like to talk about
yeah, so just marking 6 months, I wanted to do something to people in need. So then I came across this children's orphanage in Maravilla. So I got hold of them and asked them what they would like to have. So even obviously the warden itself have never heard about lump rice and they've never tasted. So I wanted to give it my best shot to them and give them there were about 45 kids and take carers, and so the caretakers and the kids. So I wanted to cook them a hearty meal and give them what I'm offering to my customers. So that's when I wanted to give them lunch. And so it was Christmas as well. So it was in the month of December where I was marking my November, December was my 6 months. So I wanted to do something, and and so that's where I gave lump rice to all of them. So we went all there, and then we also gave some dry rations, and that's where people, even my own customers, wanted to help me out on that, where they called me and asked if there's any contribution that we would like to make. And so that's where I thought that it's so nice to have people, even my own customers who have bought my food, wants to contribute into my small thing, which I didn't even think that it will be a big deal. But we were able to give so much more to those kids. Apart from the food, we were able to give a lot of dry rations and stationery to sanitary ware to so much more. So it was a good deal. At the end of the day, I felt so blessed to have customers like that, and also so blessed to be able to give something back to the society from whatever that I've earned, whatever I've contributed. To give back to the less privileged was a good feeling that I had. So I think I might, this will be maybe an annual project that I want to do, maybe every 6 months. So it will be a
biannual.
Yeah, like it will be a biannual event most probably.
She is not only blessed with a good support system, she is blessed with a loyal clientele as well. From my experience with Lump Rice by Shay, I can say the reason behind this loyal clientele, it's simply the quality and the consistency that she delivers with her product. And this relationship that she has with the clients has certainly helped her to go beyond Lump Rice by Shay as well. That is why clients are even contacting her on such projects to ask how they can contribute. So these are, I would say, special occasions. Usually when we purchase something online, the relationship just ends there after we pay the bill. But Shehara has definitely gone one step, few steps ahead of that, I would say, where customers consistently keep in touch with her, which is incredible. So speaking about customers and the relationship, let's talk about the sort of feedback you got at the outset. If I am not mistaken, Shehara, from the outset you had very good feedback about your food. So let's talk about the comments that was coming. I'm sure there must have been some level of criticism as well. What are those? More importantly, how did you alter yourself, the strategy towards food? Because I think your concept is Lump Rice with a twist.
Yes.
Yeah. So how did you alter the whole thing with the feedback that was coming at the beginning?
Yes, so before I started off, I did my research where whether I should do the original Dutch burger Lump Rice or do a little twist. Because the original Dutch burger comes with 3 types of meat that includes beef to pork to all of that. So I thought when we take the Sri Lankan, the culture, the religious beliefs to everything, sometimes that restricts few people in purchasing these items. So I wanted to diversify. I wanted to give it to a bigger audience. So that is where I came up with Lump Rice with twist. I always make sure I at all my collaterals I mention it's Lump Rice with a twist, because I've seen people saying authentic Lump Rice. They use the term authentic Lump Rice, but they even put like fried potatoes to cashew curry to all that, which is not even in the original parcel of Lump Rice. So I think it's very tricky how people, I think it's, as a business you need to how you take your brand into the society, and how you each term, each word that you put at all collateral gives a message. So you need to be very concerned about how you put it out, your brand, and how you market it and what terminology you use it. Because every time I use with a twist, so nobody can come and say me, okay, this is not the original Lump Rice. Obviously, because I've said it's Lump Rice with a twist. So initially when I launched, I think not many were doing Lump Rice except the known brands who are in the market who are doing Lump Rice. But when it came to home base, I was one of the very few people who started Lump Rice. And then I got so many comments saying, why don't you have potato curry, why don't you have cashew curry, why don't you have this, why don't you have that. So then it complements well and all of that. So in my opinion, I wanted to have it as close as possible for the original lamp price. So that's why I didn't want to, because I've seen, this is not to offend anybody, but I've seen this a particular company who have even put pole symbol and call it lamp price. And then they were like, it's not yellow color, the rice is not yellow. No, yellow color rice is, that's yellow rice. So because I think that's due to lack of knowledge on what it is, so I had to deal with some cases like that where they say the lamp rice is not yellow rice. It's not yellow in color. So it's a very off-whitish to very brownish color because it's a lot of spices that put together, and it's the broth that you take out by boiling it for about 2-3 hours. And so people don't know what it is, so then they simply go and tell that it's not yellow color and the color is very off color, and why is that? And so initially I'm like, okay, why am I even doing this? There's so much to deal with. But then I'm like, no, like, let people, this is some lack of knowledge, I would say. And also on so initially I started very small, where maybe about 15 to 20 numbers were going. So that's when I got my banana leaf from my backyard. So then when the numbers were increasing, obviously I ran out of banana leaves, and I had to look for a alternative, or like I had to look for a supplier now.
Yeah.
So then I've been doing my research to find suppliers, and then I got hold of them, and now I order from them and get them down, where I pay a price for freely available banana leaves also. So sometimes people say, why is your price at this amount, whereas we even can find lamp price at $250-300. So I don't know, I don't know how they give it at that price, honestly, because it's a lot of labor, because you don't technically put effort on, you don't price your effort, you don't price your time that you put across. It's purely on ingredients. I don't know whether it's because I buy from small scale home-based products, because they are expensive. They are not just massive wholesale. Yeah. So it's all the day-to-day living expenses that they are priced at. So maybe because of that I come to a certain price. But so that was only at the inception. So when people actually started and tasted my food, they were willing to pay that price, and they were like, okay, now I think it's high time that you pretty much, like, maybe you want to extend your menu and give people more options. And so that's when I came up with the curry pots, where I cooked them in the pot itself and then deliver it in the same pot that is being cooked. So I am, even at my normal cooking, I use clay pots and coconut shell spoons, because I think the aroma and the flavor that you get from those are just, you cannot compare with anything else.
Yeah.
So it's not just the spices, it's the tools and utensils that you use also play a part. And so then that's how I started the pots. And then I want to do something for dinner, and then that's how the pittu came up. And then at one point I've been seeing that so many people have been doing this cheese platters. So I'm like, we Sri Lankans have a lot of street food that we all love to have when we go to Golface, to wherever we like to have those stuff. And why not do a platter out of it? It was very out of the blue that it came into my mind.
Was it a spontaneous idea? That just
very, very spontaneous.
Okay.
So I was craving for it, and all I see is cheese platters. Everyone is doing imported cheese to imported meats to all that. So I want to do, why not create something of ourselves, like something very Sri Lankan that we would like to have. So that's when Sri Lankan Bites platter came to life in December. So I thought that's the perfect timing also, because it's a festive season where people want to try out maybe, but I wasn't sure how successful it will be. So I wanted to have it as a seasonal offer. It will just be for December, and then whether it works or not, I'll just get rid of it after December.
But it went nuts.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like, the response was crazy than I ever thought. And people started ordering it. I'm like,
I remember the day you put the first picture, and for some reason I was chatting with her on Instagram. She didn't have time to respond to me because she was responding to orders.
Yeah, it was crazy amount of responses that I've got, and so obviously I didn't want to stop it from December. So now even up to date we are having that. So especially Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, we get so booked out on platters where it's available on 4-pack, 6-packs and 10-packs, just as a cheese platter. So we have about 15 to 16 number of items, and only the quantities will differ according to the number of packs. And so yeah, it was crazy. Like, it was a really good response, and the feedback were good. So I make homemade sauce according to my own recipe, the dipping sauce, and then even the satay and all the the marination to everything is very Sri Lankan touch based. I'm so proud and happy that people are enjoying my food. You know, it's more than a profit you make. It's that you get to feed so many people, and the feedback you receive is just tremendous. So however much good feedback I receive, I even ask them, tell me like one thing that you want me to improve, because I think food is something very different, and preferences are different,
unique, from
yeah,
one
it is
person
person
to
to person, it's very different. So, and I'm somebody who values everyone's comment and see how I can, at my next order, how can I get those inputs, and how can I incorporate into my next order. So that's how that's how I've developed. So it was never, so if you were one of the first people who purchased my first product versus you consume my product like recently as well. So there's a huge gap between the first day.
So I think I have ordered Lamprice about thrice.
Yes.
So the first time I had it, if I take chicken for an example, the chicken that she serves now is completely different to what she offered at the outset, because I think you have done research continuously, and you have, transformed the recipe.
So I think it's a continuous development. You don't have to block it out saying, okay, this is it. It's never that. It's you need to have constant development, constant research to see how people are adapting and what would people like. And I'm somebody, so how I come across these things is I put my shoes into a customer and think, okay, so I'm a customer who pays this X amount. Will I be satisfied when I get this?
Okay.
Or is there anything more that I can do it? Is there any value addition I can add to this? Is what I think, and that's how I improve my product. And so it has worked for these months, fingers crossed. So that's how I do improvements on the product. It's not just, okay, so this is my product, you take it or leave it. It's not my things. I always do complete improvements, and before I introduce it to the menu, I do a lot of trial and errors, about 4 or 5 times, until I get to the very best that I know, okay, this is something a person would pay and buy. So even the platter, I did about I think about 4 trials. So I did about 4 trials, with the dips to the marination to how things work, because I don't want to take anything imported, like something that is not in our Sri Lankan spices network. So it's all Sri Lankan spices that I use, and so the outcome is all. So my vision is, when somebody eats my food, I want them to feel Sri Lanka. They want, it's like a Sri Lanka in a plate. So yeah.
Speaking of authenticity, yes, she has challenged authenticity, and she never claims that her food is authentic Dutch. It's her own recipe. But unfortunately, there are people who take authenticity for granted, and small scale businesses, home based businesses, are continuously struggling to preserve their rights, to preserve their authenticity due to this. I also personally, although I don't have my own product based business, I support people like Shehara when I witness that sort of unpleasant things happening on Instagram and on social media. So Shehara is also a victim of that, where her content gets copied overnight. And in one of our previous segments also, another lady who does a similar venture also disclose this, where you do a menu where you click about 50-60 pictures of your lump rice. You know, the first picture doesn't come right. You have to click so many pictures
just to select one picture.
Yeah, just to select the perfect one. And the moment you click the 49th picture, what if the curries and everything falls apart? You have to rearrange it and again click it. Guys, it's not easy. So I get really cheesed off, but this is not the forum for me to show my anger. But I really need to have your opinion. Let's talk very loud over here, Shahara, and advise how to, not to copy. It's okay to be inspired, but not to copy. Please respect someone's authenticity.
So like you said, so I am somebody who because I love to present my food in such a way, because I think it's always the eyes that pleases first before you eat. In my food thing, so it's all about how pleasing to the eyes. Even for us, if you want to purchase something, it's always how good the picture looks at you, and then it will impulse you to buy the product, right? So in the same way, so like I said, the authenticity is the amount of effort that you put, because when it's a single owned business to a home-based business, you are the chef, you are the content creator, you are the photographer, you are the coordinator, you are the order taker, you are the delivery person, you are the accountant, you are everything, right? So that means you are putting your 110% in building your brand, your business, to everything. You're putting your heart and soul into it, and it's very, very saddening when somebody else out of nowhere just comes up and just steals away your pictures, to your content, to your ways of things, and that's so much of effort that you have put across. Even because for somebody it may be, it's just another click, right? It's just another click, so what's a big deal? It is a big deal, because you put so much of effort in taking that one single picture. And so if somebody comes and says it's just a single picture, why make a big fuss? Yeah, so why don't you do it by yourself? If it's a single picture, why don't you
one single picture like that's it. Yeah.
Right? So I've come across so many times, and I've felt awful to go through back and forth fighting for it. And because what I'm saying is, it's okay, you can, because like you said, it's okay to be inspired. Like my lump rice is inspired by the Dutch authentic lump rice, right? So but it's not your authentic lump rice, and I'm not shy, or I'm not disheartened to say it's not the authentic one, because that's how I brand myself. But when it comes to images, this image theft is really, really annoying, because people just steal away pictures, and you're not even being honest to your customers, because your picture doesn't represent you. It's somebody else's picture you're trying to replicate,
delivering something else,
right? So it's not nice when you steal away your other people's content, and you're not respecting somebody's effort, you're not respecting somebody's passion. So I think the best is, I'm not a professional photographer or a food stylist or whatever, but I'm trying my best to present it in a very presentable way. So I think everyone can do that. You can get inspired by looking at somebody's pictures and, okay, this is how I want to do it. It's okay, but just do it your style. You need to have your style of work. You need to have your style of your brand, how you want to put across your brand to others, how you represent your brand is very important. And so it's okay to get inspired, but do not steal somebody's content or pictures. Until you go through the same thing, you will not feel it. You would not feel anything about it, because it's just another picture of the internet. And it's very sad how this one particular very renowned restaurant stroke cafe actually stole one of my images and claimed to be theirs, and then I had to go back and forth with them, argue on them, saying
you had
that
to lobby legal support also, right?
Yes. And so because it was very, very, because we are very small scale, just a home-based company or venture that does a passion project, right? So everything has a price for us. Even for us to take that image, we had to spend money on preparing that meal and we are not going to serve that food to a customer. We have to throw it out because that's been out for X number of hours and we can't put it back and serve somebody, because it's all about how you maintain your hygiene also. Because so you go through a lot of costs, you go through a lot of things, and then when things like that happen, it's very sad. And I'm talking on behalf of everyone who goes through these kind of things. It's just a humble request: do not steal images, don't steal content of somebody else's. Yeah.
Doing your own content is very difficult, like she said, and doing it yourself will help you to develop a new skill. So please go ahead and do your own content, starting from the photographs to descriptions of your pictures to whatnot. I have seen some brands even copying descriptions of posts. You know, I really don't understand. There are so many tools out there on Google which you can use to check your grammar, check your spelling, and come up with your own content.
And also, if you can't, if you think that you are not good enough to do that, you can seek professional help, because you don't have to go to very profound big companies. There are, like, just like us, like small scale home-based
freelancers
who can do this for you at a very small nominal value. So pay that price, because and you can't also ask them for free content. I think because that's their livelihood, that's how they're gonna pay bills, and your free food or your something is not gonna pay anyone's bills. So just respect whatever the price, pay the price and get your service. I think that's the best way how you can support a business as well. And just to add to that, now when we come across these content stealing to all these things, it's my friends and the customers go a mile just to support it. They write to them, they publish things, they publish against these parties, they make it public. They do a lot of part as well, like my friends and my customers too, even people I don't even know, they just go and support it, because I think at the end of the day it's supporting somebody's effort. When you know the value of somebody's effort, I think irrespective whether you know that person or not, you would still support that, right? So I need to appreciate those people as well who have been continuously supportive on these intellectual property, like copyright infringements and stuff, how they have gone to an extent where they support by even that simple share on social media has a very big impact, because people get to know, and then it's like it's a chain. So people keep sharing it and they spread across the news, and
finally makes an impact.
Yes, that makes a huge impact on the company, because now if it's a single voice, if it's me who's fighting for my content now for this this big restaurant that I was quoting for, it had a huge impact on their sales. So they were saying, you know, just because you have posted this thing, it has impacted us in a drastical way, where people even stop going to that restaurant because of that, saying that you steal somebody else's pictures and put across, how can we even trust your food? So it has affected them in such a way. It's not because I have voiced it, because so much of people voiced it collaboratively, and so it has gone very good. It has been a rivalry among everyone. So thank you for being that voice for me and for other ventures who are dealing with these things. Your continuous support has supported small businesses like us in a very big way.
Yes, so that is the repercussion you would face if you copy content. Once I saw when Shehara was battling one of these incidents where the party who had copied her content had said, I took it from Google. Whether you take it from Google or whether you take it from her Instagram, copying is copying. And when you do it, what she said is the ultimate repercussion, because you will end up losing the trust the customers have in you, and things will just fall apart. So why do that? Why not do your own content instead?
Yeah, because if you are a company, if you are putting so much effort in whatever you do, why can't you just put a little more extra effort to do your own content? That doesn't give you anything less, it will give you more highlights for your product.
Exactly. So while we were talking about this authenticity, something that is a trending topic and a very disturbing topic which I also encounter day to day, particularly on Instagram, is influencer marketing. So Shehara is an influencer herself. There are no other external influencers for Lum Price by Shay, as I know. The influencers are her customers who had paid, let me use that word, who had paid her effort, who had paid her product, purchased it, supported her, and then become organic influencers. But so that is, in my definition, that should be the ideal influencing, where if you really admire someone's effort and if you want to support home-based businesses, please purchase their product and then post a picture which costs you nothing, because these influencers come and say, it costs nothing for you when you give free food to us. It costs nothing for you also to put a free picture on your feed. So purchase the food and then do the influencer marketing in that fashion, because if you go to other side of the world, in the Western world, this is not how influencer marketing happens. I guess, because they specialize in a particular vertical and they do not, they get paid for collaborations, reviews and things like that. They don't get paid just because they post a picture. So home-based businesses like Shehara are continuously contacted by these so-called influencers with X amount of follower base on Instagram or Facebook, and all what they do is ask for free food. And some of them even ask for lump sums to post a picture on their social media. So what is your message to such people who beg for free products? I'm not ashamed to use this sort of words, because that's the truth, whether we like it or not. That's what they're doing. So would you like to share a message with such people also, so that this trend at least will get controlled by your voice?
So what I would say is, I think any company, or like any home base, we know the struggle, right? It's a lot of struggle that you need to go through to send out those products. And then a third party out of nowhere sends you a message saying, hey, so I'm an influencer, I would like to use, if you can send me some free products, I will be able to share it on my feed and you will get X amount of exposure and then all that, right? So what I'm saying is, they highlight the fact we want to support small businesses. So I think you need to get your terminology right. When you say support and support small business, it needs I think a lot of clarity in that. Support doesn't mean just because you give free food and somebody posts it on Facebook, there is no guarantee saying you will get X amount of orders just flowing just like that just because you posted. So I think it's I know everyone is having so much of struggle, everyone is fighting their own battle in their own ways, but try to respect the fact that somebody is doing something, putting their heart and soul into a product to give the best thing, and I think you need to have much more decency to ask them for free. And I think if you want to really support, like you said, a small business, the best way is to purchase the product and then do a review about it. That's the I think the micro influencing is the best way how you can influence somebody else to purchase a product, because you're not bound to. And also now what I think is, if you give free food, whether you like it or not, you are bound to give positive reviews. But if you purchase a product, you pay for it, you are not bound with me to give only good reviews. You have the privilege to give whether it's a good or a constructive criticism to whatever feedback, because you have paid for it. From the point that you pay me the price, I don't have any control over your review or your feedback. So I think that honest feedback is what is required, rather than just sugarcoating something just because you got it for free. Is not going to help
because these influencers, what I have seen is every time they taste anything, they say,
so good.
Yeah, so good. And
So that's not an honest feedback. And I'm somebody, even if I follow some influencers, to be honest, but when I see these things, and there are things, now let's say a particular item that I've also tried and I haven't liked it, but in this review they say, oh my god, it's the best thing on earth, and all that. So I think, oh my God, you've been actually been provoked to say this just because you have got the free food. And I think that's not the way how it should be. You need to be able to give your honest feedback. And also, even if you take, let somebody actually gives you free product, and have courtesy to at least give that credit that you have got this product free of charge from this person. Because I've seen so many people, they get it free but they don't even mention the brand at the end of the day. So don't do that. If you want to support somebody, pay the full price, get it. Then you are not bound to say only positive things. You can say room for improvement, you can give your critiques. I think that's the whole purpose of being an influencer. It's not just being bound to say only the good things. So, and if you, like I said, if you want to support somebody, pay the price. That's the support you can give by purchasing the product. You're paying me something for the effort that I put. You're paying for the ingredients. You're paying for everything that I'm putting on the table. So yeah.
Is there anything that you missed out, Shehara? Any other challenges or any other advice that you want to pass on to the next generation girls who would like to do something like you? Any traits that they should develop? Any mindset, characteristics, anything like that?
I think having a positive mindset. Always think positive because some people get very disheartened when somebody gives you a critique, right? They feel, okay, so I put so much of effort and still you can't even appreciate what I put. I think if you are alleged to that mindset, it's not going to last long, because it's how you set up your mind and how well you take criticisms to feedback. As much as you love taking flowery feedback, you also need to be very headstrong in taking constructive criticism. There's always room for improvement at any product. There's because nobody's perfect, nobody has mastered, nobody has gone through a professional qualification in these small scale businesses. It's just purely your heart and soul put together. So there are professionals out there who can come and actually help you out, who can come up and give you feedback. So be open to value them and take them as not as a criticism but as a room for improvement. That's how I do it. I ask how I can improve things, whether it's packaging or whether it's the flavor, whether it's the ingredients, or it could be anything based on what you offer. But have space to improve, be open to accept feedback. That's number one. And the other thing is everything is very challenging. It's not it's not the picture that you see. It's not just you think, oh, it's just food, so what? No, it's a lot of logistical issues that you need to face. Sometimes today you might not encounter them, but tomorrow you'll have like a huge fall of things. Things are not going according to your plan. So there'll be a lot of times where you want to just dump everything and forget about it. But that's when you actually need to get your courage and act together to know, I'm going to do this. This is my business. This is my passion project. This is what I want to do. Then that's when you need to get up and running, rather than just dumping everything and running backwards. So you need to be very courageous. You might encounter so many problems, from people to logistical issues to, or maybe including, because there are days you don't get a single order, and there are days you get flooded with orders where you actually need to be sold out. So when you don't have orders, you don't have to really be dishearten yourself, saying, oh, I don't have orders this week, I don't have orders this weekend, or things like that. Because so for that, what I do is I actually maintain a journal where every day I write down 3 aspects what I'm grateful for. So that has helped me a lot mentally, where whenever you feel stressed out or when things are not going according to your plan, you always can go back to that book and read how blessed you have been and how grateful you are for every day, because every day is a blessing. Waking up every day itself is a blessing for us, and it's how you cultivate it and how you put across things is what very important. And you need to be a good listener, like I said, taking feedback, whether it's plus or minus, and constantly battle yourself out, because at the end of the day, you're going to get paid off. One day, you are going to get paid off for all the stress, stress to disheartenments to everything that you went through gets paid off one day. So just keep looking at the bright side of the story and just keep battling.
We have come to the conclusion of this conversation. We had a very interesting conversation, a chat with Shehara Fernando, the founder of Lumprice by Shea. Lumprice with a twist, along with so many other Sri Lankan food in her menu. So we would like to wish her all the best for all her future endeavors with Lumprice by Shea and everything else that she would like to pursue in life. Finally, I would like to ask Shehara, what do you think about Inspire Me?
I think it's a great platform, and it's a voice for the voiceless. I think what we have seen is a lot of top brands going to these conversations, and it's the same faces we see every day at every every channel. But I think this channel is very unique and it's very different, and this actually empowers people who want to start something. I think you actually stick to your name, Inspire Me. It actually inspires. I think if you have 100 views, at least if it able to inspire one person, I think your job is done. That's what it is. Yeah. It's a fantastic initiative for any. It's a girl empowerment. Anybody can come here and talk their heart out, how they have nourished themselves, how they have learned, and it's a really good platform, and I'm so honored to be here. Thank you so much for choosing me to be here, and I wish you nothing but the best, and may Inspire Me prosper every day.
Thank you so much. So she's Shehara. Her pages can be followed on Facebook and Instagram at Lumprice by Shea. The Facebook and Instagram handles will be mentioned below this video. Please feel free to follow. We are trying to include some pictures while we were talking, the pictures of whatever she has in her menu, including the platters to the Lumprice to whatnot, so you can really see the sort of experiences, the sort of food that she offers along with what she says. In addition to that, if you want to dwell more, please go ahead and follow her, and you can place your orders as well on Instagram and Facebook, and her contact details are also there, so you can place orders on WhatsApp as well. You are watching the Inspire Me YouTube channel. Subscribe to us and hit on the bell icon as well, so every time we have a conversation like this, you will be notified as soon as it comes on YouTube. Also follow us on Instagram and Facebook at inspireme.ceylon. So if you would like to feature your business, or if you have any comments about what we are discussing on a regular basis on our episodes, why don't you pop your comments below, and we are happy to read those comments and even respond to you. So we all are coming from Musaeus College, Shehara, myself and Shenali, who's behind the camera. We are truly grateful for our school, for building us into who we are, for giving us this, for blessing us with these personalities. More importantly, the superiors and the workplaces that we are working for giving us incredible amount of flexibility, blessings, and a lot of inspiration. For an example, I work for a technology company as well, which is Microimage Private Limited. So I would like to personally thank my company, my superiors, for giving me the utmost level of encouragement, motivation to pursue everything that I wanted to pursue with technology and marketing in my professional life, as well as with Inspire Me. I'm sure Shehara is also grateful for the same reasons to her past employments and her present employment as well, along with the rest of the support system. So while thanking and being grateful to all these forces, and while noting them down in our gratitude journal, like how Shehara said, we would like to say goodbye to you. We will connect with you very soon with a brand new episode again. Stay safe. Bye.